What's up, y'all? This is Rom coming back at you with yet another car video. Many men have this one problem when dealing with women. Many men have this one problem. And I ain't gonna belabor the point. They simply ain't turning on the women sexually. Now, before I get into that, I got some public service announcements. Just real quick. One, I'm starting to get back into the gym. You know, lifting, like not lifting heavy and stuff. I did back day today. Just, you know, starting off. It felt pretty good. I'm taking my time. Like I've said before, you know, you starting back in the gym. You don't want to, like, start back at what you were doing. You got to start from zero, no matter what. No matter what. And you know, it's funny. I actually picked that up way back when I started at American University. I was walking through the gym and saw this fine woman, Cuban, man. Head to toe, fine. And I hadn't been working out at the time. I hadn't worked out really at all. 4 years at St. Joe's, I could count the number of times I went to the gym and had fingers left over. So this woman was like, "Hey, do you work out?" So I did what any red-blooded man would have did. I told the requisite lie. I was like, "Yeah, but I haven't worked out in a while." And she said to me, and it's always a philosophy, even did a book off of it, "Well, you just got to start from zero." And she was fine. You know how fine she was? She was fine, and I couldn't really, the shorts she had on didn't really show her ass. But then I saw her in jeans one time. I was like, good Lord. Head to toe fine. Intelligent, too. Highly intelligent and stuff. Like, if they had IG or TikTok around at that time, 1 million followers, easy. Damn, she was fine. Good Lord. Yeah. Oh, and the second thing, one thing I've noticed since I've come back, and you know, I've been very open about having a stroke. You get some people either hit me up privately or they'll have long posts trying to tell me what to do. And I'm looking at the tone, and it's not like, hey, you can get better, but it's like, you should do this. They don't even know the whole story. And plus, I could tell some other things, but I ain't going to start a firestorm. But I'll say this. I don't listen to people I don't know like that. If you can't text me on my private line, don't waste time. Seriously, don't waste time telling me anything. Don't email me, because I block some people on email. Don't text me, I'll block you. Because, see, reason why I can read through people. They don't know me, so they can't really help you. But they don't know me personally. But I've seen some people trying to influence me to do certain things without knowing the story. I don't put up with that shit. So, anyway, to my main thing now, right? To my main thing. Yeah, the one problem many men have, they simply don't turn on to women sexually. See, when I talk about select and non-select, that's all about turning on a woman sexually. In fact, if anybody who hit me up on, follow me on Patreon at the highest level, the $20 level, that's what I talk about, sexual dynamics. Because that's what it really comes down to. All that other stuff is bait. When people talk about looks, money, and status, okay, you can look good, you can have some money, status, even social class, religion, you can have all of that stuff, and all of that's important because it's the bait. But remember what Master Teacher BGS said about the pillars of game. He talked about the bait. We talk about that a lot. Conversation. You still got to talk to them. But then sex. It really comes down to what turns on a particular woman. A woman, she could be, you know what? She could be in a room full of men who look good, model looks and everything. And got money. All of them, like, 6 figures is a minimum. I say $250,000. Let's make it fun. These guys got $250,000. And then, you know, they got status. People know who they are and all that good stuff, right? So they got all that. Even when you throw in social class, these guys could be professionals and everything. And they got all this stuff. But a particular woman might not want them. Simply because she is not turned on. I've always told the story when I was dealing with this woman, friends with benefits. I wouldn't even call her friend with benefits. She was just a fuck buddy. And I didn't spend any money on her. I just go over to her house, fuck her, and leave. You know? Except for, there was one time, though, the groove was so good, I just laid there. I was like, well, so how you doing? We actually had a real conversation. Yeah, but then went back to what we were doing. But she was actually telling me about another guy, because I wasn't, like, holding her down. She was telling me about a guy she met, had everything. She even said, well, you even look better than you, got money, but something about him, it's not turning her on. And that's a real thing. That's a real thing. There's not enough conversation about that. Then you get some guys think money turn a woman on. No, it don't. No, it don't. They'll have sex with a man for money. But those are usually, as the pimp guy would call them, acceptable hoes. And a more formal term is acculturated prostitute. But as Cousin T-Tar would say, for many women, sex is just a handshake. So it's not really turning them on. They'll use sex as, in those situations, if it's a money man or they can get something out of the guy, ain't a big deal to let him do his business for, what, the average man, 3 minutes. So 5, 10 minutes, let's give him 10 minutes. As long as she getting what she wants. But she might not really be turned on. In fact, even to get wet, she might have to fake it a bit. You know? She might be thinking about another guy. Now, there's always a guy or a type that turn any woman on sexually. He don't even have to do shit. He can be a broke motherfucker. That's why you see some women, they'll get with some broke dudes. That's why you see some women, older women, they'll get with that young boy in the neighborhood, or a teacher get with a student. All it is that's what turns her on. Whenever you see some shit like that. Now, I haven't talked about the sexual shadow world in a while. They just jump in with men that turn them on. Now, contrary to popular belief, it's not always that guy who's super good looking, or definitely not have any money or something. It's possible. Drive with care. Yeah, it is cold out this motherfucker. Of course, somebody just walk by in shorts, but but yeah, they mean, you know, it's just a woman who, a man who got that aura that turns on a particular woman. So I don't care who, every single woman got something that turns her on. In fact, the primary thing is a body, but even with women, it's a different body. Some women like a big guy. Some women say they like a guy that got a little bit of fat on him. You know, some women, guy got to be perfectly built. Some women, slim guys, because they think the slim guys got a big one. You know, it depends on the woman. Several factors involved. The men in her family, her imprint. Now, the imprint, just to be clear, is a combination of the first 3 men she had sex with. First 3. Anybody saying it's just one guy who imprinted the woman, it's never just one. It's always 3. It's always the first 3. There's no exceptions. Now, turning her out, that's something different. So the imprint is more subconscious. In fact, a lot of women have a negative imprint, and they can figure it out and get conscious enough to go for somebody different. Now, somebody who turned them out, that could be any guy she had good sex with, but it's not the same as an imprint, you know? But whatever the case, however a woman come to it, every woman got a type that'll turn her on. Now, despite what a lot of guys think, it's not that. See, a lot of guys thinking, you know, you gotta look a certain way and you gotta have this and that. It depends on the woman, you know, because you still get guys who try to argue, well, looks are objective. Well, if it was, somebody who matched those looks would always get played, but you always get somebody who don't. Every single woman got something different. Like, and because I actually talked to the women. See, a lot of guys, one, they haven't had enough sex. 2, they don't actually have conversations with women or really pay attention. Every woman got something different. Every single woman, you don't know. You know, and I've said before, I used the term before, it's not so much as having game, it's so much as paying attention. Some, you know, you got to say, it, like as a man, you got to figure out, okay, which women am I turning on sexually? And now which women are not turned on sexually? Because that's the thing. That's why you can get some guys, they can get a woman and be with some women and they don't pay shit because they getting her wet. Because that's all it come down to. How wet can he get? Best age, seriously, you can have everything. Now, you still want to work out. You still want to look your best. You still want to have a conversation. But all of that might not turn on a particular woman. You know, it could be something weird that turned her on. Well, weird to you, but not to her. You know? Because you got some women. I've dealt with, recently I dealt with some women who preferred older men. You know? And that could be for whatever reason. You get some women, you got to be damn near perfect. Some women, you got to have a little bit of ugly with them. And they'll say that too if you actually talk to them. It just depends. All a man can do is figure out what it is about him that can turn on a woman sexually. Unfortunately, many men are caught up into that. Or they following some general shit that they saw online. Let me make this a little longer. They following some general shit. But they got to ask themselves, does that work for them? Because at the end of the day, it's individual. Like, I can tell you some general stuff. Like, when I say body game, what do I say? I can say muscles and all of that, but ultimately I say your best body. And then when I talk about tribes, those are the women who find you naturally attractive. You know? And the best way, if you're talking sexually, okay, which women are making it easy for you to fuck them? And which women put you through some stuff? Now, if a woman is, trust me, if a woman don't want to spend time with you, and she putting you through a bunch of hell, she ain't turned on by you. Now, you might have money, status, and women will still deal with that, because the reality is most men aren't going to turn the more that they encounter. So, they still going to, they still get some guy, like they'll still get a guy that they have to deal with, they'll still get a guy that they have to deal with, you know, like for public reasons, especially if they like, you know, maybe going to a church or in a social circle. They'll get a guy who got everything on paper. But then that's the type of guy that need to just cheat. Well, that's the type of guy she'll cheat on. Because see, if the best way to understand women, if you want to understand any woman, don't necessarily try to find out who she publicly goes with. Find out who she'll cheat with. Because she'll cheat with the man who turns her on sexually. That's the important thing. You know, the guy, the my bad guy. That's how you can really know. God damn, yeah. I guess y'all gotta get to work. I'm by a circle and stuff. It's kind of jammed up here. But that's the thing. That's the thing. You know? So if you having trouble with women, you know, and it's more, yeah, you still want to work on your outer appearance and everything, but it's that X factor. Who's turning you on? Or who are turned on by you, rather. You know, with us, though, most women, let's be real, most of us are turned on by a greater number of women. And it's just a woman's nature. It's just a woman's nature. That's why, and it's not, like I said, it's not always what you think. If you look at, like, I've known players. I've known guys who, you only had to go by what they're saying. God damn, this is a long ass light. Oh, okay. Look like it's coming up. Don't go by what they say. Just pay attention. If you're in a social circle, who the women checking out, who they looking at. You know, who they looking at, who he around, everything like that. And I've known several of those type of guys. They don't match what you call, you know what, some of the most profound players, they don't match what people think publicly. They ain't a Pookie or Ray Ray. They ain't no poor dude. They ain't no Chad or Tyrone. They couldn't get a modeling contract or anything. In fact, other guys would say, well, damn. Because I've known some guys who were getting women like crazy, like known, like since high school. But other guys will look at him and like, well, what woman like him? He got something that turned on a woman. Man, it could be whatever. In my book, Nice Guys and Players, I talk about Jim. That ain't his real name. And he I got people thinking he's just a beer drinker. He couldn't hold his liquor well, so he ain't drink that much. But if you saw him, dude's always been chubby. Dude's always been chubby. His height is about maybe a generous 5'8". I'm saying generous. Might not be that. Yeah, women like crazy, but I knew several of the women and what they say. And I know this is gonna upset some guys, but whatever. All of them talked about his joint. All of them used the word 10. I was like, God damn. There's a woman I worked with. She was in a break room and shit. And she got a strong personality, and she was telling, and somebody said, well, how your husband keep you online? And she was like, he got 10.5 inches. I know that's so it's gonna make some guys fuck some guys up, but it is what it is. Because when women are turned on sexually, they looking at everything. It ain't necessarily the face they looking at. They see a good print on some guys, they be like, I know this woman, this young lady, she was a straight up freak. She was a straight up freak, unapologetic about it. And she was talking about this dude who, he had something genetic with his face, like a cleft or something. And I never forget, she said, you know, he might have the most beautiful dick. She said that. You know, it could be whatever. It could be whatever. And women, they turned on by different stuff on a man. They could be turned on definitely by your body. That's the most general thing. Really by your face. That's why I'm that big on faces. You talk to a lot of women, they ain't necessarily wet. It'll get their attention, but they don't necessarily get them wet. Different things get a woman wet. And all of it's not physical either. It's an attitude. Because if you take an honest look at the guys who getting the most, they really don't chase women like that. If you look at the Mr. Goodbars, the guys who getting the most, they chase the least. They don't give a fuck. And that turned on a woman. It's something with their attitude. You know, sometimes they'll be called bad boys or something, but they don't always look the way that you think they look. Like I said, they don't necessarily, shit, most of the players I've known, shit, they look like clean-cut, church-going dudes. Clean-cut, church-going, educated, all of that. Shit, you got a lot of so-called pookies, they having trouble. You get some guys look like fashion models, they like genuine nice guys. Because one thing I always say, the sexual, what turns on a woman sexually ain't necessarily looks. That's why I would tell a man, anytime a man would say, well, how do I look? I don't know. Ask a woman. That's why it's stupid. I say it's stupid for a man to ask another man his looks, because, well, simply a man don't have a vagina. That's it. All a man can do is just figure out, okay, what it is about him that's turning on a woman. And it's not, look, it's not always a physicality either. Like I said, the attitude. You get some dudes, they got a fucked up attitude towards sex, or, you know, they sexually repressed. You know? And it's like a vibe. Like women, like talking to women, they'll say like it's a vibe. You know, I remember, and I had mentioned this before, I was at a retreat, and the women, they broke down which guys were which, and it wasn't on their looks, it was on the vibe. And it's all for things you ain't thinking about. Like one guy, this woman said, she called him a Goodbar, and it wasn't, and he was like a quiet dude. He was tall, but she said it wasn't even so much about his height as it was about his hands and feet. Some women think if you got big hands and big feet, you got big dick. That dick again. Because that's what's bringing them pleasure. Now, I know somebody gonna hear, all they gonna hear is they gonna feel feel good about their own manhood. That's all they gonna hear. But it's a variety of things. Let me talk about that manhood thing real quick. You only, the woman is most sensitive 3 inches in. You could literally just stick in the head and have her screaming. So it's not even so much the size of it, but what you do with it. Also having sexual confidence in how you interact with women and stuff. I mean, it's several things, and even then, with each particular woman, you don't know what turns her on in particular. Like a man, best you can do is just present your best self, have the best attitude towards sex so you're not repressed, deal with any sexual repression issues or sexual confidence issues, and then you'll be good to go. And so, I mean, that's the thing. That is the thing. So I mean, that's what you gotta do. And they, you know, that's the main problem. A lot of times, a lot of men ain't thinking about that sexual side. That's why a whole lot of men, you know, for whatever reason, that might be a deeper conversation, you know, they ain't getting none. They're sexless. If you sexless, obviously you ain't turning on the women. Because I'm going to tell you what, if you got sex appeal, women think you sex appeal, they'll hand you the pussy. You don't even have to do much. You just got to be open to fuck them. That's all you really need with them. Just be open. Just be open to give them the injection. Shoot, they'll hand you the poo if they think you're sexy. That's how you really know. If you got to work too hard or do a lot of shit, you can't convince them. You can't talk them into it. In fact, that's how women know within 3 seconds whether or not they're gay. So you gotta turn them on sexually. Or if you can't turn them on right away, be in a social circle where you can build the fire. You know. So anyway, in fact, I get more into it because I did that on demand last week. Turn out your lady. I'll put a link for that in the description box. Seriously, that's all it is, really. That's why a lot of men, they try and figure it out. I was like, well, something about you ain't turning on a woman sexually. It's just that simple. It ain't deep. Because women, I'm going to tell you what, with women out here, you know, the day where they act all pious and all of that is gone. Women want sex and they open about it. They always did. They just had to hide it back in the day. But now they can be open about that shit. And, you know, some men get mad and want them to go back to some old ways. Let me let y'all know something. They been like this. Only thing is they open. There's plenty, they were cheating back in the day. They were just cheating. They were getting this back in the day. They were just cheating. You know, those stories about the milkman or the door-to-door salesman or the guy coming across the fence were true. I talked to some elders. They were true. There was a lot of stuff going on. It was a lot, so it ain't nothing new. It's just more open with it. So, anyway, that's all I have for today. I'll get back with y'all. Peace and blessings.